Good morning and welcome to another episode of Forest Facts with Matt. So today I'm here with Dr Tony Bartlett, who's a very experienced forester from Australia. So I'm just going to hand over to Tony. He's just going to explain a little bit about what he does in regard to forestry in Australia. So thank you, Tony.
Hi, thanks Matt. I'm the chair of the board of Responsible Wood, and I'm in that role to help promote and ensure that our forest management certification system, which is an Australian standard, is maintained to the highest degree of integrity, so that when customers buy wood products, they can have confidence that independent auditors have looked at whether or not the wood that's come from our forest, whether it's plantation forest or native forest, has met all the requirements of the laws and all of the actions, the prescriptions that are needed to protect all of our important biodiversity species, to protect soil and water, and make sure that the forests are properly regenerated, either naturally regenerated in native forests or replanted in plantations. Other questions?
No, that's great. Thanks, Tony. Also, Tony, just wondering if you could maybe explain a little bit too, because you've got quite a bit of experience in fire management in forests in Australia. I thought maybe you could just talk a little bit about that, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Look, fire's become an increasingly big problem in native forests. I've noticed particularly since the year 2000, more frequent, very large wildfires, which are really impacting severely on the native forest estate and now the plantations as well. And these big wildfires don't respect the boundaries, whether it's a forest boundary with private land and cities, or whether it's a conservation reserve versus areas where timber harvesting occurs. What we need is more active management. We need to recognise that this problem is getting worse. Just simply saying, well, we need to stay out of the forest is not the answer. The answer is we need to implement appropriate actions strategically, and these include things like prescribed burning, having a very effective network of tracks and trails that you can use for rapid fire suppression, and also for dealing with controlling larger fires that you can't control when they're small. You need some fallback mechanisms. If you don't have those things in place when the fire occurs, it's too late to put them in place then.
And also, Tony, I just wanted to, if you could just sort of draw on your experience dealing with Indigenous communities in Australia as well, because that's obviously something you've been heavily involved with over the years.
Sure. Well, the main thing I've been working on is trying to help them implement greater amounts of cultural burning. There is an enormous number of constraints that stop them from doing that, or even on their own land. I've got no doubt now with my experience that we need to better adopt and learn from the practices that our Aboriginal people understand in terms of how to implement cool burning in our native forests at large scales and regularly. So what we need to do is give them opportunities to actually do this on public forested land without so many constraints, because they implement these burns when the weather's very cool, and they need to regain their knowledge, particularly to pass that knowledge on to the younger generation of Aboriginal people.
Oh, that's great, Tony, and you're doing a great job with Indigenous communities in particular, so you should be really proud of what you've done there. So look, thanks again, Tony, for your time. I really appreciate it. And
always good to talk, Matt.
Yeah, no, thank you, Tony. And if you like this episode, please like and subscribe to future episodes of Forest Facts with Matt. Thank you.